In a previous video, you saw a baby goat jump through this fence, get caught, shocked, and continue along that way. We're going to talk a little bit about how to fix the fence without turning it off. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some behavioral conditioning that allows this to happen. So I only have one goat out. Let me give you a little background. So these goats they're bigger. And when they come out, a lot of times they want to get with mama quick. They want to get them mouths on them titties, and they want to get all that milk. And they want to get that milk now, not later. And so when I open this little sliding gate up, the goats will often come out, and I can't get down there and wave my arms, do the little crab walk fast enough to keep the baby goats in there. By the way, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead, and this is part of our Off-Grid Goats program. We got a giant playlist of the things you can do to start raising goats with minimal resources. But here's the problem, though. I got 6 kids in here. And these kids are pretty valuable because we're investing a lot of time and effort into them. And we want to make sure that they're safe. And so what we've done is in this corral, we have a tighter mesh around the outside. That wire came from a neighbor. We helped him take down an old garden because he's having some fill dirt put in. And he didn't need the fence anymore. So this is salvage material. You could buy material, but this is salvage material because this is a cattle panel on the outside and some salvage material on the inside. What's ideal, though, is the ideal is sheep goat panel, which I'll show you in another area. It's just a lot of folks are concerned about its expense. But again, if you can keep your goats safe, if you can keep your goats in a corral, then the money doesn't matter much. Plus, any fence that won't hold water won't hold goats. It's not when the goat. It's not if the goats are going to get out. It's when they're going to get out. So in this case, we put up a fence last night. Put it up in the dark. It looks pretty good for putting it up in the dark. There's some adjustments we need to make. Like, for example, we tie back these corner posts, put a little tension on the line. And that way, but we don't want to have these posts all bending out because they'll snap. And then over here, this one can kind of get pulled back because it's leaning in. But here's my point. My fence is on. It's hot. There are goats running around here because I hadn't yet let them into the corral area by tricking them. We'll talk about those tricks here shortly. So they knocked down this wire. It's shorting out on the ground. How do I put this thing back in without shocking myself? Because this is a 8,000, it's pretty hot. This will make you pee your pants. So how do I get it wrapped up without shocking me? So first what we do is we take two posts, step-in posts, all right? And we put one step-in post in the ground. So this is when I add it, and it's gonna be in the middle of wherever the goats had went through the fence. These step-in posts are cheap compared to chasing goats around every day for 20 minutes at a time, sometimes an hour at a time, because the goats decide that out there is more good stuff to eat than in here. And so what we end up doing is we end up putting in that post, and we leave the bottom, we take that bottom wire and we put it up higher, and then we can step in that post, make sure it's in the ground. And then we take this is actually a tool as well, and we take this thing, we turn it around, and we use our little tool here. I'll show you what I did. We use this little tool here to lift this wire. Let me get that in the frame here. So we lift this wire and pop it into our little hooks, and then we can twist the post to the right angle to hold that wire in place. Now we're using ribbon because it's highly visible to the goats. They kind of get the concept that there's something there, where if you use just the little wire, it's sometimes hard to see. We use the ribbon because it's easy to roll up because these are temporary fences. We take them down, put them up. Notice we didn't put a fence on that area. We try to get as many straight lines as possible. We try to tie our corners, but since I don't need to carry this stake back, I just reach over the fence, stick it on the outside in case we need to use it again. But you can see there are places like we had to go over something. So we put in a bunch of extra stakes, same concept. At the obstacle, you put a stake on either side. You run your wire over the obstacle, try to keep it parallel with the ground, or at least the object, so that the goats don't slide up underneath it. And then we put down additional stakes on the other side, at the middle point of the two. So you can see corner, stakes in the middle. Same thing up there, corner, stakes in the middle. And that gives us protection. Now a little baby goat, he's gonna come back in here, or she, that's actually she. Let me get over here and see if she'll come all the way back in on her own. But this is the first time these kids have seen an electric fence. So they're going to get stuck on it. They're going to get shocked on it. So we want to have the minimal stuff. That's why we didn't use a net fence. We want to have something that we can put up quick. Again, we put this thing up last night. Something that we can get hot quick. But also we want to be able to manage it in such a way that we don't have to turn it off to get in and out of here, or to turn it off to service the fence if a goat should get on it. Now, how far apart should you put these stakes? Again, I put the stakes on each end, and then I put one in the middle, and we just start having everything. But you can have these things every 4 feet if you wanted to. We tend to end up about every 8 feet because that's how we have our T-posts. Also, the whole corral area is built on a 16-foot standard because that's how long the panels are. Now, I'd mentioned I'm going to talk to you how I got all the goats in the corral again, because this is a nursing corral attached to a yard. Okay, so this could be a nursing corral under a barn. This could be a nursing corral in the middle of the woods with solar panels, solar charger for the fence. This could be a nursing panel that stays up all year round. In this case, though, we'll take this nursing panel down, or we'll disconnect this end here and just take that panel and put it up against the other panel over there. Now, this inside wire isn't gonna last forever because, again, it was a freebie. So we have to mind that because unfortunately those wires will rot. That's why I don't recommend doing a cattle panel and then doing chicken wire on the inside, or a cattle panel and doing, you know, any kind of wire on the inside, because I don't know if there's a place to show you, but the goats will put their face in it and they'll stretch this wire and bend this wire, and it's just going to be a mess over time. So, but we had to do something, and something's better than nothing, especially if it'll last us a year or two. So this nursing corral will sit idle when these goats are not in here. I'll come in here and stack all this hay. But how did I get the majority of the goats in the system inside the nursing corral?